Well, hope you guys have been awesome time at the LESCON conference. This is my first time coming to the conference and also speaking at the LESCON. So super excited. I'm coming from San Diego. Especially flew just to speak for this particular talk because it's very near dear to my heart. So here we are, the technology and leadership in complex times, empowering the women in cybersecurity. You may see some known familiar names here. Dr. Viraj, who is the board committee in devices. Emily Mosberg, who works at the Deloitte. He's in a C-suites. Wendy Thomas at the Secure Works. And do you see Viraj Gandhi here? Or anyone see your face here? If not, then maybe in few years, definitely we'll try to be here, right? Well, that's my dream. Maybe in few years, this magazine will publish few known familiar faces like Viraj Gandhi, like yourself there. Well, Romy gave me the nice introduction about myself. I'll just reiterate. I'm Viraj Gandhi, currently Senior Product Security Manager at ServiceNow. I've been in the software industry for 15 years. Last 8-9 years has been in the product security, doing the successfully shift left transformation at the various companies, strong advocate for the equity at the workplace, and I've been part of many women-related communities and constantly promoting for the advancement of the women in the cybersecurity. Well, we all know the cybersecurity, it's still male-dominated field. We are still unrepresented in that, especially in that domain of the industry, and that's where I want to make sure that the takeaway from this talk is that, not just listening, but find your purpose, leave the path forward where do something to encourage more women to join this industry. It's a great industry where women can also bring that diverse background and we can create that supportive future world for the women in this space. I'll just talk about my journey, how I landed in this cybersecurity, and also I want to have an open dialogue, want to make sure that you also share your journey if it is comfortable. So I was in the software industry as a lead software developer for almost 10 years, developing the application, maintaining the regular maintenance, supporting the application, very close of becoming the manager for that particular team. But the self-reflection, I do self-reflection a lot year to year, and then do I still want to manage the team? Because I was so done of managing all those multiple applications. I was excelling, everything was doing good, but kind of it was kind of a boundary around me, and I'm okay, if I get to the manager, okay, that's my next career goal. But then there is no career growth of me. I still have to maintain the same application. There will be enhancement patches that I'll continue doing for years to years. Maybe that's not that's not me. And that's where luckily within the same organization, I was able to pivot into the product security, where my development background really helped me to rise as a product security engineer. I left very close where I was to become a manager of that software development team and went to become a staff product security engineer. And it was overwhelming initially. For a few months, I was thinking always that, where did I throw myself? Totally in the uncertainty world I landed. There was definitely the areas of the opportunity of the growth. I need to upskill myself in the security. I had a theoretical knowledge about the security, but a less knowledge, the practically how to exploit the vulnerability, or even understand all the cybersecurity fancy jargon that we speak around the vulnerabilities and risk assessment and whatnot. So it took a while for me. I was still navigating in that uncertain world, and luckily I was blessed to be surrounded by the greatest cybersecurity engineer who really helped me. They routed me to the correct training, to the correct conferences that I should be taking in order to upskill myself. And I still continue doing that. Anywhere I act like a sponge. Anywhere I see that someone is sharing the knowledge, I'm the first one to grab that knowledge. Never felt that knowledge is coming from an individual contributor or even from a low engineer. I always enjoy absorbing, learning something new. And you have to be like a lifelong learner if you are in the cybersecurity space. So that's where me going through the mid-career confusion and then pivoting into the cybersecurity and landing into the cybersecurity. And I would like to share one funny growth conversation I had with my manager who grabbed my hand and pulled me into the product security. Just in a normal quarterly growth conversation, he asked that, where do you see yourself in the 5 years? And within a few seconds, I see as a manager of product security. And he was so taken back with that because I was just 6 months old in this product security space, still learning all this cybersecurity jargon, still learning that, what are the OWASP top 10 vulnerabilities, how to exploit them. And he was taken back because it's very common where, especially in the product security I have seen, the people, they try to grow their career as an individual contributor, as a principal engineer, or they want to go in the defense or OffSec, red teaming and whatnot. He never thought that this would be my response. And here I am, within the 4 years, I was able to promote myself as a product security manager. I was very much determined that even though I change my domain, but my career goal is still the same. I want to manage the team. Doesn't matter what team I am, right? And I constantly proved myself. I have to grow myself, elevate myself to reach to that level. And I encourage everyone, always try to chase the dream what you have. Don't live the life of the success what others is living. Live your own success, build your own success life for that. So some of the challenges what I faced myself when I landed up in this uncertainty world of the cybersecurity. It's very common in the room to just be just a single woman, especially in the woman in the tech. And something similar you will see observed even within the cybersecurity as well. But when I attended my first conference, it was kind of an hands-on workshop for 5 days, all about learning about the web application vulnerability, how to exploit and all. In a very first day, I was surrounded by all the ethical hackers and all. It was so much overwhelming for me. And I was texting my husband that, do you think I made a right choice? Do I made a right choice in my career? Whether I will be able to even survive in this world. But I didn't give up. I continued. I finished my workshop and really gained an awesome practical knowledge. And I applied that in my real job world. And lately, I was kind of knocking down, exploiting the vulnerabilities. And we used to have kind of a gamification. So almost coming out to be a top 3 where I started founding a new attack vector, that what is that to be. So definitely that passion in me of constantly learning and never giving up, that attitude really helped me to start surviving, not just surviving, but I was starting to shine in that new world what I just jump into that. And I'm sure that each of you might be have thrown in that uncertainty world. If not, then I highly encourage just go for it. So these are some of the sound, especially the woman in the software industry, you might have indirectly or directly listened to that or observed that you are too bossy or you are too aggressive. Whereas there's something similar, same action is performed by the man, it would be kind of a passionate or assertive. Or are you sure you will be able to do it? So many times it's been told to me, and yeah, I don't give a shit about that. Yeah, if anyone want to share something similar, any similar sound that is missing here, feel free. This is an open room. Yeah, go for it.
How about, don't you have to take care of your family and all these obligations that
Yes.
are woman
Yeah.
associated?
So true. Yes.
Oh yeah, when I finish this up here, you can make it look nice.
True. And instead of giving us a stretch assignment, oh, we have the event coming. Can you please do the event planning? Are we for that? And something similar happened to me, where I went to ask for next career level goal, what I wanted to achieve. The first question, the conversation started, oh, the pandemic is going on, you have an infant, like, how are you taking care of, like, your baby and all? I'm like, okay, for 2 minutes, I'm okay to have that conversation, but I didn't, like, felt that this conversation should be going further and all. But so that is that the stereotypes surrounded by us where we live in, right? Whenever, like, we see that, okay, we have that potential to deliver, but then it's always like, knock that down by asking the different question, where, like, we are not always talking about our, like, how we are having difficult time in raising the kids while maintaining the work and all. We manage our work-life balance, like, why you are asking, like, all the question all the time. And again, like, when such question is being asked, or even, like, when we get interrupted in the room, or even in the meetings, like, many times I have seen very least chance we are given to even speak up. Even though you raise your hand, maybe you won't be able to share your idea, what you want to do. That's a struggle, and that does demotivate us. Like, that's like, you are just like 1,000 death cuts you face, where, like, yeah, I want to, like, deliver, share my ideas, but there is no one ready, willing to accept that. And that, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to add one to this, and I think besides the family things, I've had an experience the other way also, of like where I wanted to go to pick up my kid from school and like make that part of my schedule so that it's not all on my wife to do it. And I had a boss, a female boss, who said, "Can't your wife pick up the kids?" Right?
Yeah.
And that, like, there's another angle to all of this. It's not solely just you as the individual. It can also be the way that's surrounded around you, right? Where the expectation was that I should be at work and my wife should be able to manage the kids, or I should be able to get childcare. And even if I wanted to be the one to do it, that wasn't acceptable.
Yeah, so true. And even, like, as a woman, when we go home after the work, the expectation always comes on the woman, okay, what's for the dinner? What are you cooking, right? Why the same question the kids doesn't ask to their father? So definitely, like, all those, like, the minor questions or that statement does hurt us. I think everyone in the room agrees to that. It demotivates us, like, even though the potential or, like, the career progression, what we are seeing, we just give up, like, by surrounded in this particular atmosphere. Even if you want to rise as a leader, you just give up that opportunity. Maybe, like, I'm happy where I am. Yeah, sure.
I'd like to point out that the example you're giving about interrupting a woman in a meeting, failing to credit their ideas, it's deeper than that, because when I have seen a woman say, "Hey, you've interrupted me, I'd like to complete my thought," then the box just above that, "You're too aggressive, bossy," then comes into play, and they're often, so it's not just one hit. You mentioned death by 1,000 cuts.
Yeah.
You can see two of them happening right there, and I've witnessed that. I would encourage anybody, male or female, to step in at that moment and say, "Yeah, man, cut her off. How about you let her finish?"
Yeah.
So, yeah.
All right, sorry.
Yeah, and also, like, like, as a man, like, if in the meeting there is a woman, make sure that you are giving the opportunity for them to speak up, right? Like, you don't want your daughter or your wife to be get, like, cut off in the meeting, right? The same thing, you should be, like, respecting the other woman as well. So this is where, like, we definitely want to recognize all that stereotype and want to make sure that we build a very equitable, respectful, empowering workplace for the woman. Sorry. So some barriers what as a woman we face in the cybersecurity, definitely like, there is a lack of visible role model. Like I said earlier, like, we don't get that stretch assignment, like, there is always doubt. Are you sure you are that technical? Are you sure you are that ethical hacker who will be doing that red teaming or leading that red team? And that's where, like, we as a woman, like, our potential gets undervalued. We need an advocate, whether we are in the room or even it's in our presence. We want someone to speak about, like, highly speaking about our great work, what we have been doing. We need that champion, that sponsor who are there to, like, lift us and, like, trying to identifying those high potential, what is in underneath in us and laying out the training, the workshop, what is needed, rather just telling us that you are still yet not ready. How about you just give us the opportunity where you see that, yeah, we have the potential to deliver, and you just coach us, you just support us. That's what like we seek for. And I won't go into the details on the salary disparity, but that's a real, that's where like, we get undervalued on that. And definitely that stereotype atmosphere surrounded in the workplace, definitely it demotivates us. We just rattle through our self-esteem, and sometimes we just give up, we just reach to our plateau. So it's not just like, by ourselves we are reaching to the plateau in our career, but yeah, that surrounding, that bias makes us, that systemic bias, what we see in the atmosphere in the workplace, that's where we reach to our plateau. They forced us to reach to that, that ceiling. I know you guys have been super vocal. Anyone wants to share anything here? Any other barriers you see in the workplace? Yeah.
Well,
I wouldn't necessarily, there are barriers, but it's hard to put a name on it or a finger on it, because I think people they realize if they talk, if they say it out loud.
Yeah, so true.
It's gonna be pretty obvious.
Yeah.
But as far as lack of visible role models and limited mentorship, COVID was actually instrumental in my career, because everyone turned to online networking, and suddenly people were much more receptive to cold outreaches, right? And so I was able to build a mentorship network of people I had never met before, women who were doing amazing things through LinkedIn. And so I think there are ways that we can advocate for ourselves, even if in our workplace our bubble seems really limited, like we don't have visible role models, there's weird stereotypes, right? It's not the best situation. We can expand our own view by going, using the internet.
Yes, so true. Yeah. I think something similar, like I forgot to say earlier, but in my early career, early years in my cybersecurity, I did the same. I got like, surrounded by the Vices community, breaking barriers, She2, like so many communities are there. And they were kind of like support system that helped me to like, navigate myself and how can I rise in the cybersecurity. And I'm surprised, like, they have been doing such a good job. I felt that maybe when I graduated from my master's, I should have been like, introduced to those community. Maybe I would have reached to like, totally to the next level. But at least glad that now at least I'm part of those community where like, we are creating that pipeline for younger leaders, like younger girls to be a future leaders and helping them out in the cyber force. So, yeah, go ahead.
So as far as some of the unconscious stuff, we had a trainer once come in, and he was talking about, how do you communicate what your technical team is doing to the rest of the companies? Like, when you want to put a sign up, you want to put it where people will see it. How about over the urinals? So I raised my hand and asked, how am I supposed to see that?
Yeah.
I think there were maybe 2 women out of the room, and from the woman's face, this had not occurred to me.
That's true. You wanted to say something?
Yeah, this is just from my experience as a hiring manager and leader. 2 things that I've noticed is in job descriptions, I've seen this in written and also in a practical experience, women will not apply to a role if they don't believe they fit all of the qualifications listed, and men are much more aggressive in applying even if the qualifications are not really met. So I don't know the reasons, but that's just something to be aware of, I guess, in your job descriptions.
Yeah.
The second one that's just related, and I've heard this from, in every case that I've managed a female, it's always been 1 in the group. I've just never been able to get it to 2 or 3, but anyway. The belief that self-belief they don't have the technical background or experience can be self-limiting. I think it's related to that thing in the job description of somehow, I think it's perpetuated from all sides, but it's just something that I've been very aware of.
Yeah, that I totally agree, that imposter syndrome does exist,
yes,
right? Yeah,
right.
It does exist, right?
It's stronger for the
Yeah,
female, it seems.
yeah. Yeah, go.
So did I hear you're from San Diego?
Yes.
Okay, I want to say something Austin specific.
Okay.
Okay.
So I used to live here. I've built several very large meetups, including Austin DevOps. I was part of Cloud Austin, Docker Austin, and so forth. Had a woman come to me and said, hey, could we form a subgroup just for women, and will you get the word out about this in the DevOps meetup or in the Docker meetup? I would have jumped up and down with a hell yeah. So Austin is, and I have traveled the country, the best technical community in the United States. The most friendly, the most collaborative, the longest standing. The Austin DevOps meetup today is like 13 years old and 3,000 people. So get involved in the community if you're that extrovert or if you just can talk to people. Ask for something and you will likely get it. And you can get that community of collaboration. And somebody was talking about the pandemic allowing them to build a set of mentors. You can build that set of mentors right here in town and in person. Okay, so please ask. You're living in an amazing place. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. And that's a good point. Like, you can build your own chapters. You can start where, like, you are encouraging the male leaders, female leaders to come together, where we can retain and, like, elevate the future leaders, the women, for, like, so definitely that's where, like, the empowerment comes. So yeah, go for it.
As you said, I've seen a similar trend for what you said in terms of applications and job descriptions. And one of the things I try to do is to make sure my job descriptions are more neutral, but also very clearly, these are the qualities you must have, and these are the things that's okay if you don't have, and that are bonus, right? So just to encourage that. You said that you weren't going to talk about salary disparity so much.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have content about that later, or?
Yeah, I don't want to go into the weeds of that. So yeah,
okay,
we can discuss offline. So.
I do think, and that I won't go into too much. I do want to just tell one story of it in that I think that is something that's very important, but it's difficult for all of us to talk about. And so find someone in your mentorship circle or wherever that is willing to talk to you about it. But it's very important, and I'll just share one experience I had. I was hiring someone for a senior security and senior AppSec engineer role, and we had 5 candidates that. And this is years ago, so the numbers don't necessarily line up to the market today. But we had a budget of like 180, and all the 4 of the male candidates out of the 5 wanted something like their expectations were in like the 190 to 210 range, and we had 1 female candidate who her expectations was like 175, and turned out she was the best one of the lot, had more experience, better equipped for all of it. And at that stage, I was at a company where HR took out the negotiating from managers. So as a manager, I couldn't do the negotiation with the candidate. To say, well, we said, this is the person we want to hire to. And our HR said, okay, we're going to offer 165 to this candidate. And I told them straight out, give her what she wants. Let her have, and I actually recommended we just offer 180. Right? That was my recommendation as manager. They said no. We're going to offer 165. And then the candidate, kind of pushed back and said, okay, how about like 172 or something? And then HR again split the difference, right? And so my experience in that, and I, we're friends now still. So I reached out to the candidate directly, and I was like, I can't tell you what to do in terms of making a decision. What I can tell you is, here, the other candidates that we considered that were not as qualified for you had these expectations for salaries. And I think you have every right to ask for as much as that. And she ended up turning down the offer. And I mentored her afterwards, and she ended up with like 220 3 months later from a different company. Right? And so I think that's an area where we all need to do better. Right? Like HR needed to do better. They should have listened right to it. Me as the manager, I did what I could. And in some ways, I sort of like shot myself or my team out of having a great person, but I think for the right reasons. But it's uncomfortable to talk about,
Sure.
right? And that's why I wanted to share it. It's like, it's uncomfortable to talk about. Find someone in your world that you can talk about that with, because otherwise we can't bridge those gaps for each other and for the next generation.
And it just made me think that I was totally lowballed when I went to apply for a senior position.
Yep.
And when I countered with what I had originally to their lowball, I was like, nah, we're not doing that.
Yep.
Here's my counter. the HR representative, who was a woman, like, was probably reading the script, I have to imagine, was
Yeah.
like, so what's your justification for asking for that amount? And I said, haven't we done the interview? Don't you have my resume? Like,
Yeah.
what I've already told you is, this is
Yeah.
what I'm worth, kind of
Yeah.
thing. And so I was able to get, 20,000 more in the whatever, like benefits, everything like that, just because I advocated for myself, but it was stressful. Because like that
Yeah.
same situation that she had, like, they came in really well.
Yeah.
I was like, listen.
Yeah.
I really like, you need to advocate for yourself. Like, you need to speak up of like, what value you're going to bring on the table. So, yeah.
In the DevOps world, in our conference, we run something called pay talk. So like we would take this room, everyone would, their salary, their gender, their level, where they are, like where their company's located, stuff like that. We quickly disaggregate that without names, and we can see very quickly like things like gender disparity and what have you. And then we talk about that. The thing that constantly comes up, you were talking about advocating for yourself. Learn to negotiate.
Yes.
You're dealing with that HR person is a trained negotiator. You're already at a disadvantage, male or female. So please make sure that you know how to negotiate going in. Thanks for nodding. Okay, so I think it's Guerrilla Salary Negotiation is the book that kept coming up. Guerrilla, not like Guerrilla, but G-U-E-R, Shining Path. And so anyway, so yeah, please learn to negotiate and advocate for yourself. And that's a skill that you can get by reading. Thank you.
By reading, and now there are like the coach available, and there is Level FI. So many websites are there where you can always, seek out. They're gonna help you that, what could the range you can ask for and all. Not just negotiating the salary, you can negotiate around the benefits and all. Like as you hire up, if you want certain work-life balance, that okay, I'm just comfortable with this much % of the travel, you can all negotiate. It's just you need to advocate yourself. You need to speak up for yourself. Then only you will be finding the support system. If you are not willing to speak up for yourself, you won't be getting that support. So. Well, I am enjoying the talk. Nice open discussions are happening. Thanks for speaking up. So this is the recent survey was done, where we land at 2025. Definitely there is the rise of women workforce joining the cybersecurity almost by 30%. Since that the campaign from so many communities have started, close around, I would say from 2018, 2019, where there was too much of push of bringing more women in the cybersecurity, and it's doing good so far. Definitely there is the progress, but definitely we do hit that ceiling once like I said, we reach to the certain level in our career. There was a surprising survey. This is the recently from the Shitu, where they state of the woman in the leadership, what they have stated. If you are seeing the woman 40% in the engineering manager role, it just drastically drops to the 9% for women to reach to the director level, and for executive and all, maybe it's under the 3%. So definitely there is that director ceiling, what as a woman we hit, our career path reaches to that narrow path. It's a very steep, maybe for sure looking at the figure, I'm pretty sure it's a black and unwinding, not the linear one. But it's really eye-opening for us that, what's happening, as a leadership, what we look for. We look for a leader to clearly provide the vision, articulate the vision with the confidence, show the bigger picture, how the impact would be in the organization. Why as a woman, we are not seen as that executive material, why that vision can't be clarified or articulated by the woman, not just the man. So definitely there is the ceiling where everyone has to make sure that we do something about this one to increase the number here. So I'll just talk about people, process, and the technology, how we can support the woman in the cybersecurity as well as to rise in the leadership role. Like I said earlier, like, make sure you are advocating for the woman, give them the stretch assignment. Yeah, appreciate the vision ideas what woman is bringing on the table. If some woman, like, in the IC role is aspiring to become a manager, or in the leadership role want to, like, make the career move there, make sure the early leadership essential training are provided by the organization. If the organization doesn't have such tool to provide, maybe you send out to the conference like the Grasshopper and other conferences where, like, they can take those training. As a male counterpart, maybe you can create the workshop, start a charter where we are creating that equity workplace for women. It's not just about the fairness or resilience, it's more about, like, helping women in the advancement for their career. And again, in terms of the process, like, within the organization, make sure there is, like, the flexible work arrangement is done. There is a confidential channel where someone can report any harassment or a discrimination. Like I said, like, provide the workshop on the self-advocacy, negotiation, resilience, and yeah, make sure you are encouraging women by empowering them, giving those stretch assignments, even if you feel that, she won't be able to deliver. Don't under judgment us. Like, that cross functional is definitely, like, help them to motivate, be confident, and trust me, as a woman, we have that natural, like, the social etiquette, the communication skills what we bring. We can definitely deliver the successful outcome with, like, putting the empathy in front, and, like, we can achieve something in our unique way. We can solve that problem, solving of that particular task, or if it is a project. It just, like, we just need that opportunity to work on, to deliver, to showcase that. So, and some of, like, the platform tool what the organization can provide. Again, like I said, like, I think each of you in this room, just find your purpose, how you can, like, give back, like, in a different way. Just start, like, giving back, and definitely in few months or years you will see yourself as a different person. Your perspective will be changing, that, how you want the society, community to be. I need to keep a track on the time. Yeah, I still have 15 minutes. Yeah. Okay. So, like I said, like, for, like, the leadership in the complex time, with as the landscape is changing in the cybersecurity, so as the tech stack, as a woman, first you have to be self-advocate, like, drive, lead with the authenticity, integrity on any projects, any work you are taking. Never afraid to say yes or raise your hand. Just dare to dream, and, like, trust me, like, the star will get aligned, and you will get your, like, support system, the circle will be there to support you. And also, like, something similar, you can also be a mentor, champion to the young girl who also want to be like you one day. Make sure you paving the path for them, and build that strong relation, that, that network, where if you are seeking some the support, if it's not available within your organization, there is always out there outside, by going through the conference or happy hours and all. You can build that support system, the network, the professional network that can, like, help you out, maybe in landing a new job role, or, like, helping out in coaching, like, how to negotiate and all. These are, like, some of the inspiring quotes. I highly recommend, make a sticky notes on each of them and just put it in, like, on your monitor, and just every day, hopefully that motivates you. But definitely you need to speak up, you need to shine bright, just dare to dream. Don't try to just fit in the system or in that particular role or the leadership, like, just try to find a unique way how you can own it and show it in a different way. I mean, that's where, like, the value we can bring, and that's where you can show the world that, what potential lies in you. Lastly, again, I would admit this is something I asked ChatGPT, build a photo of a woman climbing a ladder, breaking the glass ceiling and touching the North Star, and that's how the photo came, all from the ChatGPT. And so I was just rehearsing few minutes back, and I realized I should have asked to have a group of women, not just one woman. But yeah. Yeah, I tried to find a photo of superwoman breaking the glass ceiling and all, but then I just took the help from the ChatGPT. But definitely in my next talk, I'll make sure there is the group of women all standing on the stairs, touching their North Star.
She doesn't need to be wearing heels.
Yeah.
Nobody likes wearing heels.
Yeah. So like I said, follow your intuition, find the truth, and just focus on the impact. And definitely for everyone, some takeaway is to not just listening, but please perform some action, start thinking where you can build that supportive future workplace for empowering the woman. Maybe you can start at the home, at your organization, or outside. But definitely we need to do, and also as a woman, make sure that we ignite our voice, our name, our work should be resonating in the every room. Like I said, we don't want just when we are present, people giving us opportunity to talk, but even in our absence, we want someone to be champion and advocate for our work. And just ignite your voice. You need to speak up. You need to communicate with that influence that you can show, what potential you bring in that room. It just starts from you. Then you can, then you will be able to kind of reach to the North Star. But yeah, if that drive doesn't, it's not in you, then it would be very tough for other to also help you out. So I think that's all I had. Feel free to connect me on the LinkedIn. I'm always open for mentorship. I also look for the coach. So, yeah. Yeah, go for it.
Can you go back to this? Can you go back to the slide with the stats on the sheet 2 stats?
Which one?
The one with the sheet 2 stats on it?
The sheet 2 stats, okay.
That one,
Yeah.
That slide proves that cybersecurity is only half as good as it could be. Let that sink in. You guys showed up. Listen to me, I'm northern, so I'm you guys. Y'all showed up. There you go. There you go. Sound like a southern. So y'all showed up, which means that you have an interest in this. You've spoken up, which means you're willing to speak. You're the ones that need to go out in the community, because I'm about to retire, and bring more people in so that we're not only half as good as we could be.
Thank you. Anyone wants to, yeah.
Tell the group about your inspirations or mentors or coaches along the way that helped you.
It's getting recorded, so I don't want to be on the air for that. But definitely, I think in every phase, yeah, I like to have the mentor within the organization, within my company, outside, like the personal coach, the career professional coach, as well as the financial coach. And I don't stick with one. Whenever I think that maybe I have enough learning, I need to move on. I still am in touch with all my past mentors. I always appreciate, recognize them, but I always try to build my bigger circle on that. So. Any other questions? Anyone wants to share any interesting story of your journey or any struggle where we can help you out? We have so many people in the room. I can ask him to pause the recording.
No, I'm not an experience to share, but I just want to say thank you for creating this space, this moment of reflection. It's really important.
Yeah, so true.
And I'm part of the Women in Cybersecurity Austin chapter, so I'd love to speak to that. You can keep for this topic.
Well,
So there's also a community right here that anybody can join. You don't have to be a member. You can just look them out in your socials and also do things.
Nice.
I was just going to say that I've been, though I have a passion for cybersecurity and AppSec specifically, and several certifications, I've actually never had that job title. Well, briefly, right? I work for a higher ed state agency in the city. I'll leave it at that. And you may have heard of the big old tower in the middle of the city. And you know, I mean, job titles were not like super important, right? Because
Yeah.
you're moving around and they don't care, right? They just give you a generic bucket and you do what you do, right? But that has actually been a hindrance, right, for me in terms of like leaving, right, and going somewhere else where they actually do care what job title you had and what your position was. And so I wish I'd advocated more for myself over time, right? But it's so knowledge is not too late. So this is a good, like just sort of being here and talking to you guys about this is good. And AppSec is, I love being an evangelist, but I want to change my focus a bit more and actually like just type more and talk less, right, about things. So thank you for this, and I will continue on.
Yeah, sure, definitely. Connect me on the LinkedIn. And I totally agree, like, sometimes the job title level does matter. Even to be part of that community, like, we have, like, I'm from San Diego and there are many, like, the local, like the CISO committee meetups happens. I just want to be there just to listen. I'm happy to like stand and be in the corner of the room. But yeah, I'm not able to get into those meetups because I don't have the title. So yeah, definitely, I too agree. But sometimes, like, everyone has his different perspectives. Some chase for the job title, some just chase for the salary. Sometimes you just chase for like, like having that stake on the table and all. It just varies, like, and like what I believe, I want everything. Like, why should I just chase for one thing, right? I want everything to come together, so.
I think putting a more functional title, especially on LinkedIn, is perfectly fine. And sometimes, I've got older stuff and those titles don't exist anymore. And it's kind of updating it to describe. If you're an AppSec leader, just put AppSec leader or whatever, that helps maybe to paint it in a more accurate or better light.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. And then if anybody questions it, say, well, yeah, I mean, the actual title was blah, 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 blah. I'm not, not lying, but just to give people a picture of what you're capable of.
Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome. Nice dialogue. Anyone else? This is the time, speak up. That will motivate you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.